La 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 la. Screen peeking. Bop bop bop.
Yellow feather, yellow leather, not feather. Everyone, welcome to Screen Peeking, the weekly podcast with me and Nick, where we talk about video games and everything you love about them, everything we love about them. We got a lot of Resident Evil today, really. That's kind of the big news of the last
Heck yeah.
week. We got, our impressions. Game Club is back. And our new segment, which we sort of talked about before, where we're going to be going through our top 50 games of all time. So that'll be at the end of the show, starting at number 50 today. Turns out it actually did work, perfect 50 to the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's much else in terms of housekeeping to talk about. So let's jump into it. Nick, what have you been playing?
Well, yeah, I've been playing quite a few games actually this week. I got my platinum trophy on BioShock 2, which I really wanted to do because I have
nice.
completed that game before, other than the Minerva's Den DLC. So then going through on PS5, I was just playing my PS4 version of the special edition or whatever that has the remaster on it, and yeah, I've been really having a good time with that. So I completed that one. Then I have trials in that game to do, and I do want to do them, even though I don't find them super fun. There's a few trophies to get there. I just want to see everything 100%. I already got the platinum, but I want to get those trophies as well. And I'm not much of a trophy chaser, but because BioShock is so special to me, I always want, specifically for BioShock games on any platform, I'll probably do it on Steam again as well. I want to have all the achievements collected on everything: Xbox, PlayStation, PC. I just love those games, and I want to be able to say, like, look, I've completed these 100% everywhere. So that's why I'm doing it. And then I jumped into BioShock Infinite, so I've been working towards that platinum. All I have left is about 3 left from that one. Just got to play the hardest difficulty without buying any like ammo or health items, and then a couple others. Yeah, then other than that, I played some Limbo and Inside on my my variety stream day on Monday. I just played a bunch of games on that on my Twitch channel. That was fun. And then went with our Game Club game as well and played Streets of Rage 4, our Game Club game. I'll have more to say about that in a bit. What about you? What did you play this week?
So, other than Hitman 3, which I'll talk about in length later, I played, like, me and Owen were kind of playing some games, so kind of on a fluke. We I swear, every night we like, whenever we play games, we play, like, an hour of Rocket League and go, like, oh, we need a new game. So kind of getting bored of just, like, the usual rotation. And so we ended up downloading Anthem, just kind of for shits and giggles. And
Heck yeah.
yeah, and honestly, it's, I still feel like that game gets a bad rep. Like, it's not a good... It's not a great game, but it's a fun game, I feel like. And I think a lot of people make it sound like Anthem is just utter trash, and I don't really think that's true. Like, the core gameplay loop there, I think, is so much fun. It's just, for me, like, I could not care less about the story. It's so just, like... I know you're a Destiny fan. I was a Destiny fan at some point, but it's so just, like, all the shit I don't like about Destiny in terms of that story. And yeah, I kind of wish it was just more streamlined because, yeah, like going from mission to mission, playing, like doing a mission, having fun, and then getting stuck in Fort Tarsis for like 20 minutes while the other person's like, just like on their phone bored waiting for me to be done. Like I agree with things a lot of people said where it does sort of seem stuck between a single player and multiplayer game. But I feel like if they just committed to the idea of like flying around and stuff, it like that core loop is so much fun. And
yes,
that's why I kind of am hopeful if they do put in the effort to like really reboot Anthem. I think it could be good, like in an expansion, because I think there is a lot of good there. Like there is, it would take a pretty fundamental change of like mission structure, I think, but like flying feels incredible and shooting feels fun enough. Like I mean, it's not Destiny levels of fun, but it's fun enough and abilities are all fun. So I had a time with that. And then we also played A Way Out, which is a game I haven't actually played before. And that is a game that I wouldn't necessarily call great, but it's just entertaining as fuck. Like it's a B movie in a video game in the best way possible, where like we were the entire way through making fun of the writing and voice acting in that game because it's really weird and stilted at times, but like, and it's like weird and sort of like janky in a lot of places, but it's so just genuinely entertaining with all that. Like, it's has just the right amount of shittiness in it, I guess, to make it really fun without being like actually shitty and annoying to play. And at the same time also does have some legitimately really cool moments in it. Like, it's just, I don't know. I thought it was really fun. It's not a 10 out of 10 game. It's probably like a 6 or a 7, to be honest, if I had to put a number on it. But I don't really think that matters. Like, playing with someone that you're friends with, I think that's kind of required to enjoy that game, is playing it with someone that you're already pretty good friends with. I think it's a pretty awesome experience. And it does a cool thing at the end, too, that sort of plays off of, like, the relationship you already had with your friend.
Whoa, sorry about that. I lifted my hand and I just totally punched my mic. I'm sorry. I hope I catch that
good
when I'm editing later. Shoot. If not, I apologize.
Yeah. But yeah, Way Out's fun, Anthem's fun. And then Hitman 3, which I'll talk about later, and Streets of Rage 4, which, you want to go into that now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all right. So, Game Club of last week was Streets of Rage 4. Just top level. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. Where are you at?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up from Nick. Nice.
I love this game.
I would say I am 1 thumb up. Just, yeah.
That's still good. That's still good.
That's still quite good. So, yeah, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So I played it on my Twitch channel when I streamed and played about 2 hours, maybe a slight bit more, and I don't know for sure. I think I got to the final boss, or I got really close to the end of the game. Basically, there is this person that's clearly like the villain, that one guy with the white hair or whatever. I got to fight him. Mm-hmm. It was the first time I lost, and then I was like, well, I've been playing for 2 hours, on to the next game.
Wish I first time you died in that game?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Or no, first time I restarted, like where you lose all your lives.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean.
And I could be wrong. From my memory, though, I don't think I died, fully, lost all my lives before that. If I did, it must have been only once before. But yeah, I had a blast with the game. I found it really confusing at first to learn the moves, what I was doing, and then as I kind of played more as a character, I was like, okay, so there's looked up the controls a little bit. Okay, there's a double tap forward and then X to do this one attack that's kind of longer range than my normal punches. Like, okay, that really helped with those characters.
Real quick,
yeah.
Which character were you using?
So I started with the what's his name? It has the cyborg arms or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I started with him because I thought he looked the coolest, and then he was really slow, but he had a cool grab and stuff, and he could electrocute guys in front of him. And then I kind of went through all the characters in the 2 hours. So basically, I'd finish a level or played for a bit, and then I'd switch to a new character. So I got to play them all, and I think Cherry, she's the best. She's the coolest character. She can sprint, so you can run left and right, and it actually makes your mobility so much better. And then she has this jumping knee to the face that's lights her knee on fire, and she does a bunch of rapid hits, and it just sounds great with the hit sound effect or whatever. I don't know. I really liked it. She was kind of the best for me, and has this electric guitar she'll smash around. So I really liked her a lot. I found the levels not very challenging, but I found them fun. I liked the different enemies, although they were kind of just a lot of just recoloring of the same ones. There's the one characters they throw the jar of poison, then they throw a jar. Then there's the red ones, and they throw the jar of fire, and then there's the blue ones, they throw a jar of electricity, and then there's the other ones that throw a bomb. And I mean, the only one that was interesting was the ones that throw I said bomb, but grenade. Because if you hit them at the right time, you can make it so the grenade doesn't blow up, and you can pick it up and throw it back at them and stuff. And I found that was interesting versus an area on the ground kind of becomes damaged.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I played until the 4th stage, I think, and then I got stuck. So I kind of stopped there. So I had a similar experience. For the first stage, I died, I lost all my lives a million times, because I was really struggling to figure out how to play the game, I guess, like to just kind of figure
That's
out what it
weird.
wanted me to do. And then once I did, I ended up playing as I forget her name, the one with the guitar. I played as her for most of the game.
That's Cherry with the
Oh,
guitar.
is it Cherry?
Yeah.
Okay,
She has the
I
red
thought
dreads,
Cherry
right?
was the I thought
Yeah.
Cherry was the other woman. But yeah, I thought she was super fun. I liked her her grab move where she would just sort of like go on her face and like pummel them and
yeah.
then jump off. Like that was
Yeah, that
super
was
fun
good.
to do. And I just thought there was fun ways to combo enemies with like hitting them up and then guitar slamming them.
Totally.
And yeah, so she's definitely my favorite. And once I figured her out, I didn't die again until the 4th stage. And then I got pretty stuck there because people kept on hitting me into holes, and I was having a rough time. But yeah, I think it's great. Like the art looks just gorgeous. Like
So
it is
good.
just spectacular looking.
Yeah, I brought that up a lot during the stream.
yeah, it is just a gorgeous looking video game. The gameplay once you figure it out, I think is really really fun. Beat 'em ups aren't. I guess they're not even necessarily not my jam as much as it's just not really a genre I play. Like I kind of want to. Like I've played the original Battletoads and hated it. I think that's a terrible game. And I've played a few others that I thought were okay. But yeah, this is I think one of the most fluid and like just raw fun one that I've played in terms of feeling like I'm actually in control and able to like effectively not get hit and effectively kill enemies without just mashing a button a ton. Even though I am mashing a button a ton. But like probably my favorite beat 'em up for this was Mother Russia Bleeds. And even then I didn't think that the gameplay was that fun to me personally. I just thought that like the story and world was so weird and interesting that I wanted to keep playing. But yeah, I think the fact that this game did make me kind of get into a beat 'em up is really saying something because that's so just not my speed. But yeah, I quite liked it too. I don't think. I think the reason I'm not 2 thumbs up on it is just because I got stuck and didn't finish it. And after that, I was like, yeah, like I don't really feel a huge need. Like there's other stuff to play. I don't necessarily feel the itch to like struggle through that. But yeah, definitely really really enjoyed it.
Yeah, something that I forgot to mention was the music. I went into the settings on the game before I started it, and actually before I say the music, there is an option for the food or the healing items, that you get, where you can change like the lesser heal and the more like the item that heals you more, and you can change like the food options, and there's like even like vegan options and stuff in there. There's like tofu or salad and like onion
That's
rings
funny.
and burgers and stuff, and I just thought that was awesome. So I just played around, chose the ones I wanted. I think I did pizza and poutine because I'm Canadian, just because I thought that would be funny. Then, although honestly I would have chosen the burger. So I think, and then in the audio options, I was looking at that because I wanted to turn the music down a bit. But I was really getting into the music that was new, and then there was a retro option. So I played through the whole game with the retro music, I guess, and I've really enjoyed that. I don't know what the new music is like. Excuse me. But what did you think of the music?
I liked it a lot. It wasn't. I don't necessarily think it's the most memorable part of the game to me, but yeah, I thought it was cool. It fit the mood is going for. But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing like an animated trailer for this game a while ago, like a 2D animated. I remember thinking, oh, that looks really dope. But I feel like I see animated trailers in a similar vein for a lot of indie games, and then the actual game looks like a quarter as good as that trailer.
Right.
But the fact, like, this game looks just as good as that trailer did, like, the whole way through, which is so impressive. Like, the art and animation in this game is just awesome.
Yeah, I think at one point I was saying, like, man, can you imagine how much fun it would have been to work on this? Like,
yeah,
if I was stuck doing the items or the objects, like the pipes you use to swing, or if I was making the environment or the characters, like any of that stuff would be so great, so much fun to just draw. I was like, all that stuff is my art style completely. I'm not that good, but that's the style that I draw in, right?
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see. And I also it brings me back to when I was a kid. I don't know how young, but my family in PEI, there was like some family members, and I barely remember this, but they had like arcade cabinets in their place, and it might have been Streets of Rage, but it might not have. But it was definitely a beat 'em up kind of game, right? Where you walk around, you pick up your knife, and you pick up whatever items off the ground. You're like it's the same game, just the arcade, version. So I feel like I might have been, and it just totally brought me back to that and made me kind of happy, thinking, oh
That's
yeah, I
so
remember
awesome,
loving this as a kid and not really understanding what I was doing, but having a good time. So
Yeah, that's super awesome. So do you want to move on to some
Sure.
Resident Evil? All right, awesome. So yeah, the Resident Evil showcase was yesterday for us, right? At the time of recording, on the 20th. And we got to
21st.
see some gameplay, the 21st, that's right. We got to see some new gameplay, which looks kind of as you would expect from, like, based on Resident Evil 7.
Looks
got to see
good.
some new story. Yeah, it does look very good. Got to see some new story. And then they... Oh yeah, you have here in on those shitty looking Resident Evil Reverse multiplayer thing. I really agree. I thought that looked like garbage. Do you want to get into that
RE-verse looks terrible.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on? They
It looks like a mod. What gets me.
Totally. That's a great example. It's like, here we got all the 3D models, all the character assets from a bunch of the games, from all the basically the new RE engine characters, and we put them all into a multiplayer game, and they didn't explain it. They're just kind of like, here's a trailer, and then they show just a bunch of glimpses of characters doing like very basic animations, nothing really cool, just kind of slamming the ground or just shooting in third person, and then
also
not even hitting each other.
Shot in that trailer.
It
was so funny.
Exactly, they're just like shooting at each other. No one's getting hit. Nothing's happening, and then they're like,
I feel like
the
multiplayer
RE-verse
mode was made on the multiplayer mode looked like it was made on like $100 budget. Like, it's like all reused assets, like a bit of new coding, and then just got some people to play and record it. Like, all right, here's a trailer. But whatever, it's the free multiplayer mode attached to Resident Evil 8, so we don't have to really care. And if it's low budget, that just means less budget is going towards the good part.
I guess so.
I'm not too worried about it. I just think it
doesn't bring me down at all. It was more just fun to laugh at. When I first saw the beginning of the trailer, though, and it just showed like some characters' feet, and it was kind of the Borderlands or like the comic book art style, right? And I was thinking, oh, is this going to be a little animation, like a little animated like series or something like that? I thought that would be kind of cool to see. I know that they talked about that other animated series coming to Netflix at some point, but but this one I just thought, oh, that'd be kind of neat, like a comic book looking style animation. Couple episodes somewhere would be kind of cool, but it wasn't that. It was disappointing. But the game looks cool. Resident Evil 8 looks awesome.
Yeah, no, totally. So it seems like from the gameplay we saw, and you've actually played the demo, I haven't. But from the gameplay I saw in the whole gameplay showcase, it seems like it's more action focused than 7. It seems like it's more like if you would compare Resident Evil 4 to like Resident Evil 2, where RE4 did have the melee attacks, it did have like that more enemies to fight, and it seems like it's more leaning in that direction, which I'm fine with, because it seems like it's not going into full like RE5, RE6, like just straight up third person shooter territory. It seems like it is still focused on scares, on that sort of thing, and what made RE7 good, which I think is great. And as someone who's played the demo, do you want to talk on that?
Yeah, so before I talk about the demo, though, just from like what we saw in the gameplay there, and just touching on what we think the game will be like or what it's about, I think you're right. I think it seems like it might be more action focused, but I doubt it actually will be. I think that 7 actually had a lot of action in it, or a lot of combat in it, right? I'll say combat instead of action there, but I didn't feel like the combat was good. I felt like the combat was remember how slow you move and everything? I bet you'll move the same speed, but the fact that you have a melee attack, hopefully that kind of push them back, kind of give yourself some breathing room. I'm hoping that from my understanding, it seems like you might just be getting more options for your character to do.
Well, that in itself is
kind
of making it more action focused, because a lot of true survival horror people would say that having those limited options and that claustrophobia, like not being able to create distance, not having that available to you is what makes it scary. And I would kind of agree. Like, part of what made fights in RE7 so terrifying is that, like, yeah, to get away from an enemy, you have to turn away. Like, you're so powerless against them, and by giving you those melee options, it does give you more power and more options to actually deal with them, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just it's variety. Variety's good.
Yeah, as long as they have a good balance of puzzles and other things that are good scares and creepy moments where you need to hide, that'll be fine. The demo though had no. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, real quick. Also, I think just based off of like the setting and tone of this one, that sort of gameplay makes more sense. Like, having that really, really claustrophobic feel to combat, I think really works when you're in like a house, you know, where it is a really claustrophobic environment and you are stuck in these little hallways. But when it's more of a castle and a more grand sort of gothic horror aesthetic, I think having it be more open, having those more options kind of makes sense in what it's doing from like a story and world perspective as well.
Yeah, so just jumping into the demo then. I was enjoying it. It was really quick. It was maybe 20 minutes max. I don't know. I went through it pretty fast. Right at the beginning, you get a note, and it's kind of just written in paragraphs. And each paragraph kind of tells you how to escape. You're in a jail cell to start, and then each part, it's like basically, like the first paragraph says something along the lines of, you have to look around for a way to escape. You might even have to crouch down. So you crouch down, and under the bench, there's a hole. And that introduces the first new mechanic that wasn't in 7, which you can actually go prone and lay down and actually crawl on your... And I thought that was really cool, because I can see a lot of scary moments where you're doing this crawling, you know, on the ground, getting through the holes in the walls and stuff. And so you crawl through, and then like there's another paragraph, you know, find something soaked in blood. And it was pretty obvious. I didn't find the puzzles tricky at all, and it was... I was playing with Taylor. I was thinking about streaming it, and then I was like, it's probably going to be like 20 minutes. What's the point, really? I could, but I just wanted to make sure I played it before today's episode, so I had something to say there on it. There was no combat, like they said in their event, the showcase. They said that this demo was going to have no combat in it whatsoever. There was no real scary moments. There's a couple things, like, something falls out of the ceiling in front of me. It was fine. I could see people getting spooked by that and stuff, but it was kind of what you've seen before. So I wasn't scared at all throughout the whole demo, unlike when I played the RE7 demo. That was really scary, and actually, the whole place was creepy, and I felt like the environment, like the old rundown kitchen, you know, was really disgusting and made you kind of feel uneasy. Whereas this was like this nice mansion, everything's intricate and delicately designed and beautiful, and you're like, wow, this is really nice. And the only thing that was really creepy was when I entered the main entrance to you escape the dungeon or whatnot, you enter into the mansion, and I'm going to call it the mansion or the castle or whatnot, and you get to where the entrance is, where if you were to go through the front door, like the main lobby area of this mansion castle thing, and as I'm walking along, you can hear there is someone downstairs. There's someone walking around. And of course, as you walk down, there's no one there. And I found a cup that had like red stained liquid on the bottom and red like lips marks on the side. And this woman that you see in the trailer that's like all white and super tall. Pretty damn sure she's a vampire or something like that, because they're definitely drinking blood, and they're definitely talking about, you know, having human blood or having man's blood or something like that. And it was just cool. You just go through it, and then you get to the end, and you get to encounter this white woman and her bug people team. I don't know what their relation is.
My favorite band.
Daughters. Sisters.
I think they're her daughters. Yeah. It said in the trailer, she's like, if my daughters can't deal with him or something.
Oh, right. So. Yes. Okay, so her bug swarm daughters that are very much like the mother in the RE7. You know, she had all those bugs all around her too. You loved that, right?
I loved that. That was my favorite part. Yeah, I mean, sort of based off of like, I don't know if the feel of this one does it for me quite as much as RE7. Like what you were saying about like just how dingy and gross RE7 felt. Like that's what really made it creepy to me. Like the sort of like werewolves and vampires and that sort of thing isn't that interesting to me, like on a very personal bias level. And so like the like weirdness of RE7 where there isn't really like the sort of cliche threat of like a vampire, because you know what a vampire is. It's just sort of like you've no idea what you're facing. This just this family that is absolutely insane and like eating weird rotten food and like cutting your arm off, and it's just off the walls. And so having it be a little bit more of like a known thing, like I said, it's really gothic horror. It's vampires, it's werewolves. That's doesn't do it for me quite as much, but I don't think that's the game's fault as much as just that's not my thing.
Yeah, they're just going for something different. But I absolutely agree. If I could just quickly say, I think that there's something with RE7 where you feel like you're in someone else's house, right? You are in someone else's house and you feel like, I know I shouldn't be there. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that feeling of walking into someone's house and no one's there. You don't know when they're going to get home or when they're going to come around the corner, and you're feeling that bit of uneasiness. But entering some big, I don't know, it looks clean, it looks beautiful, it doesn't look lived in, it just looks like a stage. You feel like you walked into a stage that's empty, and you're just looking around it, and like, oh, that's cool that there's a chair there and a table there, and nothing really feels lived in, doesn't feel like anyone else will be there. So until someone arrives, you don't really feel nervous. Whereas like in RE7, you're in the house, you see half-eaten food, and you see, know, where the the workshop is, where someone's been working on something or whatever, right? You feel like you're intruding on someone's home. And
and in on that too, like in RE7, the whole family is like they're monsters, but they're also like just recognizable enough as like people, like as still like human beings that are just like a normal family that it really has what you're saying, like that feeling of like, oh, I'm intruding on these people, where like the mom especially was what got me. Like the way that she just screamed at you felt like an actual person could do that. Like like just some crazy mom, and that's part of why it really felt so. It felt, I guess, it was more relatable emotion than like a vampire is. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. I don't know if this will be like a day one play for me. I feel like I will likely wait on this one.
Same.
But yeah, I think everything we saw here as for the game, it looks awesome. It looks like RE7 in the ways that count, and not RE7 in the ways that will make it just a different experience, which I think is great. Friday's great.
Yeah, I agree with you. Not a day one buy for me so far yet either.
yeah. And also, it seems like Ethan is back.
Yeah, that's your character. That's who you play as. Yeah.
Yeah. So didn't he die in RE7? I didn't fully finish it.
No.
He didn't. Okay.
No. No, he doesn't.
That I probably should have known. Ethan gets.
You should finish it. You should finish
destroyed.
The game. You have to if you ever go to play level. 8. Because if you're going to put in the effort to play 8 when it's not totally your jam, then you got to finish 7 at least.
Okay.
It's worth it.
Okay, because I don't know, the ending of 7 just like story wise got really, really uninteresting to me, and like I don't know, that last bit on the boat I did not like, but like I wish it just ended when you escaped on the boat. So it's just kind of a weird, like, leaves you still not knowing what happened. Like, I'm a huge Junji Ito fan, and that's kind of why I like it, is because at the end of the story nothing's explained. It's still like, that was weird, but like moving on, I feel like that would have been cool. But yeah, I guess that's never mind. We can move on. Getting off on a weird tangent. So Hitman 3 came out on the 20th, and I bought that. I've been playing it. I am on the 4th level, I believe, out of 6. And we were talking about this a tiny bit before. So my history with Hitman is, like a lot of people, I played Hitman 1 and didn't click for me. I think I played like the first Paris mission. I was like, yeah, that was neat, and then didn't really play more. Because I played that because it was like a free demo. And then I later at some point just had heard enough really, really good things about Hitman 2, so I bought it for like $10 or whatever, and then played that. And I don't think I beat the final level. I think it was too hard for me. But I got all the way there and really, really liked what I played. And after that, when they announced Hitman 3, I was like, yeah, awesome, I'm in. Like, I want to play that. So I haven't now been playing it, and I think it's my favorite one of the series so far. And I say series because
Great.
I haven't played any of the ones before the reboot. I think it really, really focuses on what makes it great and leaves out the shit that doesn't make it too great. And I think part of what it does better than Hitman 2 is it pushes me to engage with the systems that make it beyond just a fun stealth game, I guess. Like, because Hitman 2, I played through, I didn't get overly creative with, I just sort of did, like, in all the levels they have, like, mission stories where it's sort of a pre-scripted, like, go here, do this, get this disguise, and it sort of guides you through what you're supposed to do as a way of, like, introducing you to the level so that you can get more creative and do more interesting stuff. And I just sort of did that in all the Hitman 2 levels, and that's why I liked it, because it made sense to me. I didn't have to think too far outside the box, and it was fun and satisfying. But I think Hitman 3 does a better job of encouraging you to not just do that, where it has this sort of shortcut system, where every time you beat a level, it opens up new places to go and new ways to get there. So if there's like a door that's locked from the other side, you can unlock it in your first one, then it's just unlocked forever on all subsequent playthroughs, which is great, because if there's one bullshit segment you don't feel like going through again, and that would kind of turn me off from me playing it, I can go, nah, like, I can just go through here, and it makes it like more streamlined, and I can try different strategies. I get more tools, more things I can smuggle in, and that just made it way, way, way more interesting to me to go back. And it also, I think part of it, I have more experience too, so I just have the competency to actually go off the beaten path a bit. Like, a lot of the time I would use the mission stories to push me in a direction where, like, that happened a lot actually, where it would get me sort of like in the right direction, a way to meet the target, and then from there I just sort of go off the chain and do my own thing. So like the level I'm on right now, it had me, or it like introduced this idea of like somebody doing experiments on homeless people, and I'm like, okay, cool. So like dress up as a homeless person, get in here, do those experiments. And I tried doing that. Things went south. I was like, okay, whatever. I restarted the mission. And then from there, I snuck in like as a guard. I did something totally different. Managed to get up to the top level, and then found like, I'm sure the story mission would have fully like introduced me to this guy of like a test subject who looks identical to Agent 47. Like, he's bald and has like a tattoo on the back of his head. And so I'm like, hey, perfect. Like, this is a beautiful opportunity. So I knock him out, steal his like lab clothes, and then go in there. And at the, like, usually sort of guides you on how to kill him. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing up here, but I have a good in, so let's figure this out. Like, do these experiments with him. Things are going, and then at some point, like, he goes into this room, like, there's only one guard here, so I just, like, he has his back turned, I quietly take out my silenced pistol, like, shoot the guard, like, drag it over into a closet, and he's still standing there, like, this is it, and then take him out, and then just, like, booked it out of the building, and then it was just awesome, like, having that feeling of, like, I actually did that. That's not the, like, what the game sort of put on a platter for me. That was a plan totally made by me, and, like, and that's just such an awesome feeling. Or my favorite level so far is where, you know, through all the levels you have, like, your handler, which she's, like, the lady Diane on the radio who's telling you about stuff, giving you intel, but you don't have a handler for that mission, so you're just on your own. You don't get to prepare anything. You're just in there, and there's, like, 5 targets that are hidden as security guards throughout the building. They're like enemy agents, and you have to figure out who those targets are, and then you have to take them out. And there isn't actually any story missions you can do for those targets. It's all up to you. And that was like easily the most challenging level so far, but also just like absolutely exhilarating, because the odds were just so stacked against you, and you had to be on your toes. Like, I tried like 20 times sometimes for certain guards to take them out, like just tossing coins everywhere to get people to go in other directions, and then
Coins?
taking like, yeah, tossing coins is my favorite mechanic in that game, because it's like the classic stealth game thing where you toss in to go, huh, what's that, and then go and check it out, and then it leaves you an opportunity to like get one guy quietly, you know, because they have their back turned. And so I'd be doing that, like, there's a guard here, I'm like, oh, fuck, there's, like, 3 people around him. And, like, you know what, that's better, there's massive crowds everywhere, so I'd, like, toss coins, and then they all had their back turns to each other, like, knock one guy, like, like, desperately trying to drag him out of the way for the other's view. And then, like, inevitably someone sees me, like, chase him down, like, throw him into the river. And then it was just, like, absolute panic that entire mission. And then eventually at the end, I, like, 3 of the guards, I think, just so happened to cross paths, and I had, like, this remote Semtex that I found somewhere. So, like, remote explosives, like, oh, shit, and just quickly threw it and blew them all up. And then at the moment, it was just chaos. Like, they totally knew. I was like, just booked it out of the building. Like, got a terrible score. But I'm like, oh, it was just, it's so much fun. Like, really, really forcing you to just be on your toes and improvise. And I think this game, yeah, does that improvisation, forcing you to sort of find your own path so well. It's awesome. And the level design is so cool. Like, the people have talked the second level to death, I kind of feel like, where it's a murder mystery. That's kind of the gimmick of it. And I think that one's super cool. The first mission I thought was awesome. You're in, like, this big sort of skyscraper in Dubai where you can't even see the ground. Like, it's so high up, and that was super cool. But yeah, I am absolutely adoring it so far. It's my favorite Hitman game, definitely. I could see it being in my top 5 of the year at the end of the year, but it's also only January. We have so much ahead of us, so we'll see. But yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up from Ziggy.
Wow, they got the double thumbs up. That's cool. Yeah, I like the idea. That's what's always been interesting to me about the Hitman series. Being able to take on a challenge however you want to, and having all these different ways to tackle a problem, basically, and find your own solution. I found that really interesting. I got to give 2 another try. I have it, and I honestly didn't give it much of a try. Actually, now that I think about it, it might have been even only 20 minutes or something. So maybe I should actually put some effort in, and because I do like being stealthy when there is an option to be stealthy in games. So I might actually really enjoy.
Also, the game does this thing where it finds a way to sync up your footsteps to the music that's playing in, like, if you're in a club or, like, at a party or something. It always does that. So I don't know how. Like, I was walking around trying to figure out how they sync it up, but it makes you feel so fucking cool whenever you walk somewhere. It's like just walking to I mean, you know, like when you have headphones in, you always kind of do that, like, naturally. And it's just such a small, subtle thing, but it makes you feel like a badass. It's awesome. I absolutely love this game. But yeah, you should definitely try giving Hitman 2 a second shot. Because I love this series. And I honestly should go back and play Hitman 1, I think, too. Because I just like these games too much. Like, I feel like it's definitely worth giving it a shot. Maybe we'll get the access pass in Hitman 3. But yeah, anyways, there's my Hitman 3 impressions. I'll probably have more to say next week when I've actually finished it. And I plan on playing this game for a little bit. I mean, the medium's going to come out, and depending on how good that is, it might pull me away. But yeah, I could definitely see myself replaying these levels a lot and really trying to, like really sort of get into it. Like the one I was talking about before, where it's all improvisation. I think I could definitely see myself playing that a lot, because right after I finished that, I had, like, the urge to go back and replay it, of like, oh, there's so many other things I could have done. Like, that was so messy. I want to try it again.
Yeah, you probably you'll have finished it at least by next week, so you'll have some actual like. Well, here's what I think as a whole. So that'll be good, even if you don't get a chance to replay levels as much as you normally want to.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, with that out of the way, I think we are into our new segment, which is our personal favorite 50 games of all time. Extremely biased lists from both of us. So, on number 50 of the list, the very bottom, do you want to start us off, Nick?
Sure. So I spent hours this week looking through it. I still have anxiety that I've forgotten a game. I just remembered Katana Zero today and quickly threw that in there. It is in my top 50, actually.
Wow. I think it's on mine too.
And so my number 50 is Gorn. I think it's my only VR game on my list. It was published by Devolver Digital. but it's developed by. Sorry, I was pulling up Steam earlier. By Free Lives, and that game is honestly my favorite VR game. I don't have Half-Life Alyx, so before you go crazy here, I don't have that one, but it's my favorite VR game that I own, and it's such a fun one for me to introduce to people when they come over and I want to show them VR. So for those who don't know, Gorn is like, you imagine you're playing as a gladiator, first person obviously because it's VR, and you can just pick up different weapons, you can do all kinds of different challenges, but the gist of it is you have different weapons you can use to beat up other gladiators and other enemies that are all very cartoony and it's very gory and bloody, but cartoony blood and gore, and you can beat the snot out of guys. You can get your fists up and just start punching them in the face till they get knocked out, and then pick up a shield and start bashing them in the head, pick up a club and start hitting them in the face or hit them in the legs so they fall over. You can throw stuff at them, pick up a rock, toss that at them. Once a guy's dead, you can grab their arm, rip it off, throw it at another guy, take their head, rip it off, shake it in front of you, look at it, laugh at it, throw it. I probably sound messed up, but I'm just saying, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. That game, played it with Taylor's brother like a year or two ago, and other people, and it's just fun watching other people just like, they go to town, they're punching the air, they're doing all kinds of things. You get them, they're like, whoa, you can do that? What's going on? You know, like pick up and hold the whole dead guy and throw them at the other guys, and spears to stab them and lift them up in the air. And all the weapons are very kind of cartoony. They're kind of wiggly. You can wiggle them through the air and you can bend them and all that stuff. It's great. I don't know. I don't know what else to say other than they just give you a lot of options in terms of weapons and abilities and things you can use to beat up other people, basically, and get your aggression out. There's been so many updates since I played, so there's a lot more to the game. I know that because I've seen little update notes popping up on Steam, but one I guess item you can use that I remember is this gauntlet, because you basically can move yourself around by, you reach forward, you grab the air, and then you drag towards yourself to kind of pull yourself along. And it's really weird, but it's almost like as if you imagine you're like a gorilla walking around and using your arms to move. But there's this item, it's like a glove with little wings on it, kind of like an Icarus wings or something, and you can grab the air and pull down, and you basically launch yourself high up into the air. And for me, I get those butterflies in my stomach, that kind of like stomach drop feeling, right? Where you launch yourself up and you're like, whoa, there goes the arena kind of zooming out. And then you start falling back down. And I just thought that was a lot of fun because you could like launch yourself into the air, do like a drop attack on a guy. And yeah, just that creativity of just being able to run around an arena, kill things, and kind of do that stuff is a good time. So that's my number 50.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It like Gorn, I'm watching the trailer right now, because it's one of those games I've sort of been like aware of, but I don't think I've actually seen proper gameplay of it. But it does seem like it really sort of taps into what makes VR fun, and just like expression and what you can do, like not having preset attacks, but just beating the shit out of someone however you want.
Oh,
and actually, you're saying about like
just because I forgot about it until now, they're like they have boss battles too, and like I don't remember the other ones, but I do remember one was Achilles, and he had armor everywhere other than his heel, right? So you'd have to get in behind him and try to stab and hit his heel, and it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Little things like that. Sorry to interrupt.
Trying to like get down below. But yeah, I honestly don't have much more to say. What you're saying about like the stomach drop feeling, I adore that feeling in VR games. Like when games give you that like really physical, like visceral response to something of like, whoa, shit. That's kind of the mark of a good VR game to me. Or at least doing that without just making you sick. It's a pretty fine line. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. My number 50 game, just starting it right off the bat with a good controversial pick, is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which is a game that I think gets way more shit than it deserves. I'm not going to call this game great. I'm not going to call it...
I don't agree.
But I think this game gets more shit than it deserves, for sure. Also, funny fact about this game, I was thinking about this in the shower the other day, but my experience of this game was actually weirdly really tied to you, because I remember when I was small, like very small. I doubt you remember this, but I remember playing Skyward Sword like at your house or something when we were visiting Canada. And I
Could have
remember
been at
thinking it's just
the aunt and uncle's place when I lived with them. Could be there.
maybe it was like a while ago.
That's when I got it.
Mhm. That's probably when it was. I remember absolutely nothing other than the game itself and
Yeah.
the fact that you were there.
Like 11 years ago or
and
something.
yeah, it would have been forever ago. And I remember playing it because I would have been like 7. I thought the idea of having like the Wiimote as your sword was just like the coolest shit. Like that is video games, man. Like that is
cool.
what every game should be. And in reality, what I wanted was VR.
Yeah.
But and I think, but like then fast forward a while, I own a Wii. Like after the Wii U was out, I came to the party pretty damn late. Play Skyward Sword again. I'm probably 11 or 12, and so still don't have great taste in games. And playing it and remembering that and thinking that was cool as shit, and still thinking it's cool as shit now. Although I have played like a little bit more video games, I was still not very experienced. But like playing that and then having that experience was awesome as a kid. But away from that nostalgia, I went back to Skyward Sword in the last 2 years or something and played it expecting to have my memories of the game ruined, but they weren't. Like I played it again and like the game has issues. It has a lot of fucking issues, but I also still think that the game, like that core feeling of swinging a sword and raising it up and doing the slashes, just feels cool and feels empowering when it works. And that's the key, because the Wii hardware is interesting. But I think Skyward Sword is both like the most Wii era Nintendo game that they made, and also is the best like Wii game design game that they did, because I
agree there.
One of my hottest takes, at least amongst like my peers, is I fucking hate the Wii. Like I despise that console. And a lot of that is because the Wii just like promoted this really, really god awful era of game design where attacking just meant doing this, just meant like shaking your controller as much as possible and just like doing motion control stuff that was just absolutely useless and could have and should have been a button press. Like Twilight Princess is a perfect example where like the GameCube version of the game is so much better because you don't have to fucking do this every time you want to do something in the game. It sucks. But Skyward Sword actually manages to make that a useful and good piece of game design in the game, I think. Like in ways, in the boss fights specifically, like I was thinking about like the Galactos boss fight, you know, the big like 6-arm robot thing, is so empowering when you get to pick up a sword and actually like swing at it with that, and it feels weighty and it feels heavy and it feels awesome. Or like really, really disempowering, like when you fight what's his name, Girhim, for the first time, this sort of like not final boss but like main rival of the game, where like you attack him and he just grabs your sword facing. Yeah, and he just like grabs your blade and you have to like physically pry it out of his hand
with like 2 fingers, right?
Yeah, he just like grabs it and you're like, what the hell? Like I can't do shit against this guy. And eventually you figure I have to like trick him or whatever. And but that's such a cool feeling, like swinging at him and then having him just grab it and physically stop you. Like, and that is only really a thing. Like, if I just press X to attack and then have him grab you, like, whatever, guess I gotta get a new strategy. But it feels so cool when you're actually swinging it. And, like, this game is also extremely linear, and its puzzles are pretty fucking stupid at times. I'm not gonna defend any of that. But I think one of my personal beliefs in game design is that linearity and story are kind of on, like, they have a really strong correlation, where oftentimes, like, to have a good story, you kind of need to sacrifice player expression in a way, or to have a good narrative, I should say, not a good story, because those two are different. And that's why, like, Breath of the Wild, I'll talk about later on, much later on this list. But I think that has one of the weaker Zelda stories because it that's not its focus. Its focus is on the player's story and the player's like adventure that they make for themselves. But Skyward Sword, as one of the more linear Zelda games, I think also has the best Zelda story, and I'm definitely not afraid to say that. I think the way that it starts at the very, very beginning of the timeline and has you go through all this stuff of finding Zelda and doing all that, and like the reveal at the end. Why am I trying to avoid spoilers? It's such an old game.
Because it's one game that no one's gonna play, so many people don't know.
Exactly, yeah. But like,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's really meaningful and with some and like showing like Demise and the history of Ganondorf and all that stuff apart from just Wind Waker. It has some really interesting things to say about the Zelda lore and just a really great story. It has my favorite Zelda character of all time, which is Groose. I fucking love Groose. Groose is my favorite. I don't know if you remember him. He's the like.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the game very well.
Good.
Yeah,
as you should. But yeah, I think it's awesome. And yeah, I mean I'm not gonna say this game is the best Zelda game by
the music in that game.
Imagination. Oh,
so good.
I also
so good.
I think until Breath of the Wild, it was my favorite art in a Zelda game too, where I think it really, really nailed that middle ground between like really cartoony Wind Waker and more realistic Twilight Princess, where it had that level of realism, but it still felt cartoony and exaggerated and like, yeah, it's just cartoonish without being an actual cartoon, you know?
I felt that way except for Link. I did not like Link's design, personally.
I think it's okay. It's definitely not my favorite.
That was just
design,
me.
But
I liked everything else, all the other art style.
I think Zelda looks amazing in that game too, and I like that Zelda is more of a character than in other games. That's like my number one frustration with the series. Zelda never plays a big enough role. And that's why, like, fingers crossed for Breath of the Wild too, because she's featured so prominently in that trailer.
Looks like it.
More Zelda. Yeah. But yeah, and like the fighting. Oh, what's his name? The big worm dude, like a million times. That sucks.
Oh yeah, the thing with so like bad. 2 feet and a mouth.
Yeah, when you fight him a million times and it's boring every time. Or there's one puzzle specifically where there's like a big. Oh, I don't even remember. I just remembered you had to like go into Skyloft again and go into a whole other territory to talk to someone to get a big basin of water and bring it over.
Yeah,
and that was just. Like, that was when I replayed it, I was still just had no idea what to do in that puzzle. I had to look it up. And now I was like, that's dumb. That's stupid puzzle design. And yeah, I think from a game design perspective, it is not nearly as good as most Zelda games. But I think in terms of story and in terms of, like, just how it makes me, at least, feel, I think there's a reason why it's on my number 50 favorite. And I think it just has a special place in my heart because of that.
Yeah, going off of that, my first experience with that game, I actually got it and then played it over the whole weekend with my brother Jesse, who was on the show a while back. And we had a good time with it. We really enjoyed playing through the game. We had a blast with it. And then as soon as I beat the game, like, because all that story stuff, all the stuff you're talking about, the story is awesome. You know, you don't mind the tutorial at the beginning that takes like 2 hours because it's your first time doing it. Everything's new. Everything, you don't know what to expect. All the little side quests, they're all new for you. You have new characters to talk to.
And all the dialogue and characters are fun in that section too.
Yeah, and dungeons are new and exciting. Items are new and exciting. Bosses are really good, I think. I actually found a lot of the bosses really fun to fight. I totally agree with you on the controls. I had a great time with the controls my first time playing. I didn't have the issues a lot of people have had. So I had a great first experience, but playing through it again, when I had gone back and I thought, hey, you know what? I'd really like to go back and play some Skyward Sword because I love to go back and play through Zelda games since they're like my favorite franchise ever. And honestly, Skyward Sword is not on my top 50 list. It's a game that I find really boring to replay now, and the only reason I want to replay it is because I do like the motion controls. Like you said, when it works, I find a lot of motion controls actually fun to use. I agree with you. That's like the Wii game. It's like the best Wii expression of a game, you know. But it's not fun for me to play now. I find myself bored too often, or having to sit through stuff. I just really like the cutscenes, and I don't need to play the game again to view those. But yeah, watching how the Master Sword is created, watching Link and Zelda's relationship, seeing the what Demise is and Girahim or however you say his name. Those characters were really interesting. I found that game fun, and I am happy to never play it again. I don't know. I love Zelda so much, and I'm so glad it exists. But I do not enjoy playing that anymore. But I totally get where you're coming from.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can't argue that at all. Like, you're absolutely right. It is quite boring. Like, the tutorial is comically long, and just with absolutely nothing to do other than just talking to people. And it's awesome the first time because you're meeting all these people and they're fun and cartoonish. You get to watch Groose be a bitch to you for a while, and it's But I can. Actually, I think that's a good take. Like the idea that, or not the idea, like the fact that replaying it sucks. Like when you don't have that wonder of like discovery. Like for me, when I was replaying it recently, it was because I did not remember half of it. Like I remembered so little. Mm-hmm. I just remembered like kind of how it vaguely made me feel. But yeah.
But yeah, I think also going back to, I don't know how old I was, but younger Nick getting excited for this game and coming off of Twilight Princess being the 3D Zelda before it had like 9 dungeons, multiple areas to go to and all this stuff, and really all you get in Skyward Sword is Skyloft and 3 zones. That's like bread and butter of the game. And going back to
those 3 zones because you're gonna see them a lot.
And you're going back to those zones over and over again. It's like, sure, maybe you get to explore a tiny bit more, but it's really the same music and the same kind of place. So I think for myself, even though I really liked the game, I still had that. I was still able to recognize that and go, there's a lot less to this game than I remember from the one I played before. And then just going back to it now, I'm like, I'd rather go back and play Twilight Princess because there's all these different dungeons and different music and so many more bosses, and it's also got a good story. So I forgot to mention. Number 50, hey.
Yeah. Very bottom of the list. I talked about that for a lot longer than I thought I was going to be honest. I feel like a lot of these bottom ones are going to be pretty quick.
Anytime there's Zelda, I'll make it long. I don't mind. I'll keep talking about it.
Zelda is really easy to talk about for a very long time.
Look at my background.
I will say. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think that is the end of what we have planned. Oh!
Game Club.
Game Club, yeah.
Game Club I guess also
for next week.
You're hosting. I'll shut
up. Okay. So yeah, Game Club for next week. We are going to be playing Enter the Gungeon because neither of us have played that. And then the week after that, we're gonna play The Medium because that's coming out like right before that episode airs. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, or not before it airs, before we record. I mean, but yeah. So Enter the Gungeon this week. Again, if you guys want to play along, talk about in the comments what you think about it, all that good stuff. That would be awesome. But Nick, do you have anything more to say?
You can pre-install the Medium on Xbox Game Pass right now.
Oh, true. Yeah,
that's cool.
I should do that actually.
And also for those who have noticed, last week's episode and this week's episode have had an intro little simple animation with my wife Taylor singing a little tune. And I just wanted to touch on that really quick because I want to give her recognition. It was I'm so glad she did it, and I wasn't asked at all. I was thinking after we recorded the last episode that I wanted to just make a quick little simple animation thing just to make a little intro, put something up there. It's been something I've wanted to do for a while, so I just thought, okay, put some time into it, improve it later on, as I do with everything. So I made this little animation, showed it to Taylor, and she's looking at it and going, why is there no sound? I said, well, because I don't know. I don't know what music kind of put to it. Like, what do you do? I don't know. So I, fighting back a little bit. Like, come on, give me a break. I just did this thing in like an hour. And so then she takes the mic here, rotates it over to herself, and she's like, can you record? Can you record audio right now? And I said, yeah, I can turn that on. So I press record, and then she just sings this little thing. And so I stopped recording, put it into, edited my animation to match the timing for her little tune, and that's what you get now. That's our intro for now. So I hope everyone likes it.
Awesome.
I love it, and I am biased, so who cares? That's all I have to say.
All right,
though.
awesome. Do you have anything you want to promote?
Yeah, just I am continuing to stream, trying to be regular as much as possible on my Twitch channel,
Awesome.
twitch.tv/Nicolobe. Trying to do Monday to Thursday, recording 2:30 p.m. till 4 p.m. So yeah, if you want to check out what I'm playing and check out my gameplay of the game club game we talk about doing, yeah, then come check me out over there. If you want to stay updated,
Awesome.
follow my Twitter at @I_Nicolobe.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think I really have anything to promote right now. Yeah, I think that. Oh, actually, real quick, this isn't a promotion, but I finally I got a new TV. I finally got that all set up. I just want to say that, which because I'm happy about it. I can finally have all my consoles
He's
on
so
top
excited.
of my media console, mounted on it. Because before my TV, it was this 22-inch 1080 TV that I had to because I have it by my bed. And I had to fully sit up and smooth the covers, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see the bottom of the TV. So now it's actually mounted. I don't have to do that anymore, and I'm excited about that. But yeah, I've honestly been watching a lot of TV lately. I don't know if we want to make that a quick segment, but I've been watching a lot of shows I'm enjoying.
No, I don't have time for that.
We got 5 minutes. I'm gonna say real quick, watch The Great Pretender on Netflix because that is a
No, I'm just
bomb ass anime. That goes hard as fuck. That's a really good show. With that, I think that's all for me. That's been my entire week since the last episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for everything you guys do. Yeah, make sure if you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about, leave that in the comments. We'll take a look at it.
yeah, try out our
and
game club
yeah.
game. Give us your
Totally,
opinions
yeah.
on it. Love to read
Or if
that.
you've already played it, then yeah, put that in. We'll talk about it in the show.
Absolutely.
And yeah, with that, keep peeking that screen. I'll see you next week.
Heck yeah. All right, see ya. Bye.
See ya.